Hey, welcome to Hear Us Out. I'm Paul,
And I'm Patrick.
and today I'm driving the bus. So if anything goes wrong, it's my fault. Also, not an avoid.
Yeah, Paul, your background has changed. Your
Yeah,
background has changed.
it
And
has
to what do
indeed.
we owe this background change? What special topic are we talking about that required you to be in a non-witness protection room?
Which goes, well, so tonight we're going to do a special kind of show about most overrated films. Yes, something we don't generally do, which
No,
is kind of point at a film and go, yeah, eh.
I'm
Um,
not going to lie, Paul. When you suggested the idea of overrated films, my brain did go straight to, oh, that'll annoy people. And then my brain went, and that's good. That's good because that might get you more interaction on the negative web, as I'm now going to call it. Anything controversial does seem to do better. So anybody out there who's angry in the next half hour or next 10 minutes even, just know that you're being played. You're being played by my algorithm and us because we want to annoy you. Actually, no, we don't. I love this topic for one reason and one reason only. No matter how many times, and it's going to be said 1,000 times in this, I actually think it's quite a good movie, but I think it's overrated. And everybody will hear, it's my favorite movie. He just said it's crap.
Yeah, yeah. No, That's the thing that I've been kind of looking forward to because I think, and which is actually funny because one of our chatters who hasn't been on for a while, um, which has joined, and I know that there might be a film that I might be suggesting, but that might piss her off.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
this
but
could get spicy.
this will be interesting. Anyway, yes, this is about overrated films. Which is, yeah, as Patrick said, some of these films are not films that we hate or anything like that. It's just that once people go, do you know what the greatest film in the world is? It's this film. We're the kind of people that go, yeah, but it isn't really. Uh, you know,
Yeah, it's not bad, but oh, you're pushing that a wee bit too far.
yeah,
That's the level we're at here, folks. Also, an overrated movie. There's a couple of categories of overrated. There's it's people who think it's the greatest movie of all time, but it's really just a great movie. And then there are people who say, "Oh, that's a really excellent movie," and it's just a good movie. That's still overrated. Or somebody who's watched a really bad movie and says it's okay. There's still an element of overrating. So it's not about any specific metric here. It's just if it gets more praise or adoration than it really deserves. And we'll
yeah,
go into the reasons sometimes for some of these at least why. Because I think sometimes there's either a social or psychological reason behind why certain movies get that extra push.
yeah. This was my interesting thing because I once recently, which why this is the reason that it came up. Someone went, "Oh, Citizen Kane. It's a film that just like absolutely you never notice the time." And I went, "Yeah, yeah, no, it's an absolute brilliant film." And in the back of my head, I went, "What the hell are you talking about, Paul? You were sitting there going, like, I will grow old before this film seems to end." And I just went, actually, you know what? It is really long. It's a really long film, and you feel every minute of it. Like, but so that's where I came. I was just like, I have to, I have to start thinking about this kind of thing. It's just in a crowd kind of mentality when someone goes, "This is the greatest film," and you go, "Yeah," in the back of the head it goes, "I prefer Die Hard," you know.
It is very weird because you don't ever really want to have the fight. Like I never want to have the fight when somebody says their favorite movie. I'm like, favorite is one thing, but then when somebody says, "Oh, the greatest movie of all time," and I guess you know what, we should stop burying the lead because we're going to be talking about some of these any moment now.
Yeah, that's actually what you said there is a real fun thing because it's not when someone goes, "It's your favorite film." That's a
Yeah.
completely personal thing. When you say it's the greatest film in the world, you're making the decision for everybody else. And
Yes.
that's where we're kind of coming in going, yeah, but it isn't. There's some failing, not
And
great failing.
and I'm guilty, Paul. The amount of times I've said it's a masterpiece, and someone's looked at me gone, "Really, really, Sausage Party?" And I'm like, "Actually, no, I've never said it about Sausage Party." But I'll say masterpiece. But sometimes I'm over egging because I'm kind of saying unexpectedly brilliant in one specific way, and I'll go on to articulate that. but I may do a bit of a real world clickbait and get people's attention by going, do you know what's a really underrated film? You know, The Last Starfighter is actually a masterpiece. It's not really a masterpiece, Paul. We both love Last Starfighter, and we've done a whole video on why it's so great. It is great.
Yeah.
And it's underrated. But, you know, I will be one of those people who'll maybe say, you know, I get superlative in my excitement.
Yeah, like, yeah, when you go, yeah, The Last Starfighter is one of the greatest films in the world. It's like, yeah, it's not. I guess it's a personal feeling once again, more kind of thing. But when someone goes, it's not really. We're not going to be like, well, we're going to fight to the death on this, and we're more like,
Sure.
that's fair enough. Like you're not gonna go.
Paul, just before we jump into it, because the comments are flying, and I can already see I can see things mentioned that are going to come up. So let's see. Let's not mention those comments just yet. You know what? We'll have to come back to this because there's so many good comments here. But I think I want to the people commenting out there, feel free to shout that we're wrong or right as we're going. I'm open for this to become mildly abusive in a friendly kind of way. Let's go for it.
I'm worried about that one, but yeah, no, it's like also these are just the quick ones that we've chosen. Like there's probably some in the chat that we also probably agree with as well, but these are just ones that we've just chosen quickly. So Patrick,
yes,
am I kicking this off or do you want to kick it off?
Oh, you should go first.
Oh, okay.
You're driving Hooper's driving the boat, so away you go.
Well, let's go for one that we both definitely
please.
agree on.
Please, yeah, I know this one,
which is Avatar.
Yes,
like we do think this is an overrated film, and I don't like. I'll let Patrick take the mic in a couple of seconds. All I'm going to say is we understand completely that it was an absolute visual beauty, but there is so many pillars of the film that just let it down that it just makes anyone who goes, it's the greatest film in the world, or it's one of the top greats, or anything like that. It's just like, yeah, but you're ignoring pretty much 90% of what makes a film. Like that's the big thing that you're doing there, and you know I can't agree with you. So. That's all. So what about you?
If there are any kids watching, please cover your ears. Avatar is a bit shit, Paul. Yeah, my issue with Avatar is not only that it's overrated, I think it was extremely overrated at the time. Again, visual treat, I get it. Awful story, not brilliantly told. Childish as all hell in loads of different places. It was just Sam Worthington. You know, even behind the Smurf suit, his acting is still not great. I get it. People felt like they went to Pandora. I saw this in the best screen possible with the best 3D possible. And I was still like, yeah, this looks quite good. I didn't get that magical feeling that everybody else got because I wasn't. Maybe, you know what? When I pick on things, I have to remember maybe it just wasn't for me. It's for others. But it was the aftermath. That kind of 6-month period before people, and I should note, people have turned massively on Avatar, which is kind of funny because I now feel sorry for it and almost want to defend it, going, "Well, oh, hey, oh, come on now, you were its fan once, and now you say it's terrible." It became cool not to like it.
Yeah, that's the other thing is I feel, yeah, it's one of those like a lot of people came out being going like, yeah, it's just Pocahontas in space, and you know that kind of level of stuff, and you're just like, yeah, well, no, it's a lot more deeper kind of story. It does have
only just
beats of like like a Pocahontas story and stuff like that, but there are some like things that are different. But it gave me the same feeling when a game is announced, or sorry, not a game, when like, you know, Unreal Engine is releasing their new graphics like package, that they're just like, look how cool our engine is, and it's just like shows you these like amazing like pieces and stuff, and I'm just like, wow, that is really cool. When I watched that, it was like, wow, this is really cool looking, but every character is 2D, and yeah, it's just awful.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, James Cameron has an amazing body of work, and I don't include Avatar in that. Visually, yeah, let's, you know, agree that it is what it is, but I do not count this among this ain't no Terminator, folks. Anyway, Paul, I don't really even want to say a whole lot more because I've heard so many great things about the Avatar 2 thing in the last few days that people are going, oh no, even if you hated the first one, you're going to love this, change cinema forever. I'm open to it. I'm not going to go in with any preconceived notions, but I maintain that first movie for at least 6 months was the most overrated movie in the history of time.
Yep, agreed.
And after that, it had gone from such a high point that it never quite came down from overrated. Even though now there is a whole cohort of people who are particularly enjoy crapping on it that once upon a time liked it. Which, a whole other episode. Why do people turn on Avatar? I think it's because maybe they watched it a second time at home and realized, gosh, without IMAX and 3D, this is rubbish. Anyway, that's Avatar. I don't think anybody's going to argue out loud in the chat that they feel any different. I've been scanning the chat. I can see people are already winding both of us up by picking a few things. Unless, Paul, you're going to surprise me and say that Dune was an overrated movie. I think some of this is definitely aimed at wind up, which I love, because I can't believe Paul's going to sit here and diss The Prestige, especially after it featured last week as one of our favorite films.
Yes.
So, yeah.
It's one of my favorite films. Overrated, though. Completely overrated.
Yeah. By us. So good burns going in there, and also leave Good Will Hunting alone, Brian, because I know that one's aimed at me. So what would you like to pick? How about we pick one that the critics said, if you wouldn't mind getting a guy called Max up there.
Oh, yeah.
The critics said movie of the century. And I mean the actual century. We did a whole episode on this because there was a massive survey of critics, and they came back with one of the best films of all time, best film of a period of time, Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah.
And to that I say, I didn't hate Mad Max Fury Road. I don't think Mad Max Fury Road's a terrible movie. I'm very impressed by the same thing that everybody else is very impressed by, which is the fact that they did so much of it practically. And, it was well shot, and in some cases well acted. In a lot of other cases, not well acted. It's a good movie, Paul. I don't even know if I'd call it a great movie. But saying that it's the greatest of all time, that easily puts it in my list of overrated.
Yeah.
Unless you believe it's the greatest movie of all time. But
no,
I firmly don't think you do.
We've had this discussion before. I was sitting there going, well, the scene of like the chase from like when they escape and then they turn around up again. That I think that's what everybody remembers. I think it's that part that everybody remembers, that whole huge big chase scene that everybody remembers, that makes them think that it's the greatest, it's the greatest film. But if you remove that and just replaced it with I don't know, Mad Max 2 Road Warriors chase scene, which it was very reminiscent of, I think everybody would just be Mad Max 3 or 4 is not that great. If you remove that one scene that everybody was just blown away by, then it's a mediocre. It's a good film with an interesting story, but if they CGI'd that thing, everybody would just be yeah, it's pretty good, And
it's story. Look, I know a lot of people go, oh, but look at the deeper meaning and look at it. Again, it fits firmly into that top end category when you look at it that hard and go, God, that's quite a good movie. It's really quite good. You can even go as far as for, a personal point of view, that's a great movie. But do you really get into this is, should be talked about in the top 1, 2, 3, even top 5, 10 films of all time from a completeness point of view? No. It doesn't mean I hate it. Doesn't mean that I don't respect everything about it. But if you can't see its huge flaws and the fact that essentially it's there and back again, the Furiosa story, I can't help you, people. If you tell me that one of the greatest things about it is the doof warrior, whatever, a massive amplifier with a fire shooting guitarist, then I can't have that conversation. It's oh, but you're a car guy. You must love all the vehicles. Yeah, the vehicles were good, but there was a lot of pantomime BS to it as well. And if that's what you dig, I'll never harsh another person's vibe, whatever you're into. I ain't into this, Paul, and I'm not sure what the critics were smoking.
No, I as I said, I enjoyed it, but out of the films that were released even that year, it wasn't the best, and it
Yeah,
was just, as I said, it was a really good showpiece that people latched onto, I think, and then that's what got people going with it. Um,
we
so
have so many brilliant comments, Paul. I'm just going to keep a little eye.
go for it.
But we can't. I'm afraid because you're all being so excellent. I'm just going to pick out stuff as we go. Mad Max Fury Road and Top Gun Maverick are both great. I agree. Top Gun Maverick I actually think is a hell of a lot better than Mad Max Fury Road, as it turns out. Mad
I
Max was
agree.
good, but it felt like felt like it was one movie played twice. Yeah. They're back again. Pretty decent movie, but not best film even of the year. Yeah. So, folks, I think we're so far there's an understanding of where we're going. So we haven't annoyed people to the point of hanging up or using obscenities. So let's see if we can get that a wee bit harder, Paul.
Okay,
What would you like to pick?
I'm gonna go. There will be blood.
Okay, go for it.
I think this is an overrated film. I know a lot of people are just like, this is a cinematography, like beauty. Daniel Day Lewis is great in it. You know, it's an amazing film. I enjoyed 50% of the movie. Like, I'm sorry, but if you have like, it's one of those films where it's just a bad person just continues to be bad and continues to screw everything over and stuff like that, and I'm just like, cool. Like, you know, once an hour and a half went by, I was just like, yeah, we get it. He's a bad dude and a bad father. Like, come on.
And see, weirdly, I can't join you in this for two reasons. I still have not seen all of this movie. And I feel that when I do, it'll probably end up being one of my kind of favorite movies. Because you know what, Paul? You've just nailed something that I enjoy. A bad person repeatedly being shown as being worse. Because I
Oh,
can get on the emotional train to just Downsville, and I'm kind of happy with that. But as far as overrated, I can imagine that that's possibly true. Because again, remember, even if I love something and I think it's one of my favorite films of all time, it wouldn't blind me to the idea of something being overrated. So I can kind of see where there might be an argument for this, but I can't fully
oh
line
no.
in behind you.
There's a movie that's going to be later on that I'm going to probably be the same thing. But this movie is just, well, my problem with this movie is that yes, you will enjoy the story of a bad person, kind of like showing their journey of badness and ruining people's lives and stuff like that for the first hour and a half. It's a 3 hour long film. The other hour and a half is just him doing the same shit, just getting older. Like, that's the problem with the film. Like,
But it's beautifully shot
like
and well
oh,
acted.
it's I will say, like, I will say it is a gorgeous film. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the film, and Daniel Day Lewis is an excellent actor. He's very good, you know. But
But it does get talked about in that kind of top 10 films of all time list. So anything that's in that list is open for criticism right now in this particular video, Paul.
yeah,
Anything that hits that level of, top five film of all time, you have to be like, really? All films ever?
yeah,
Maybe top five cinematography, top five soundtrack, top five whatever. But if you want to say film overall, you really gotta, you gotta bring the receipts and show the evidence on that one.
yeah, yeah. No, no, I agree. Yeah, like the images that I'm showing right now, all right, are just, they're beautiful. No one has noticed. Has anyone noticed the problem with the second image yet?
Is it the toilet roll or something is behind his neck? His pipe
No,
is cut.
no.
What?
That's from Gangs of New York. That's Billy the
Oh, there you
Butcher.
go.
He looks
That's
exactly the same as the other character, acts exactly the same. Like, I showed this to a friend as well. I did the same
nice.
thing where I was just like, yeah, he's a really interesting character and stuff like that. And they just went on about how good the film is. And then I went, that's Billy the Butcher from Gangs of New York. And they just
There you
went,
go.
it's the exact same character.
Well, you know what they say, Daniel Day-Lewis inhabits the role. Maybe as it turns out, Daniel Day-Lewis is the role. And that's why people can Mandela themselves into having, did he smoke a pipe in There Will Be Blood? Paul, good move. And you got
I,
me because when someone says, can you see the problem? I'm straight into is there a third nipple on screen right
Oh,
now? You
it,
know,
the way that you know is one of his eyes is like a glass wooden eye thing. That's literally the only difference between the two.
there you go. Well, Paul, I'm seeing some agreement with you in the comments here, so um, you're definitely not alone on this.
Good. I'm really glad that wasn't the one
And
I think
it
gonna do.
was somebody caught it's from Gangs of New York, so fair
Yeah,
play, good job. Uh,
yeah. It's just one of those. I decided to sneak it in there.
and Lisa's asking when's Paul going to get to whatever he thinks will make me mad. I think it's going to be the next one then, if it wasn't this one, or your next pick. So I'll take a break in between, Paul. You can choose any of mine, but I think we should get to the most controversial. Would you like to throw something up that involves The Godfather?
I
And when
will
I say
indeed.
involves The Godfather, I'm going to say involves The Godfather 1 and 2. Because I'm not even including Godfather 3, since people always say, oh, but it's not as good as the other two. Well, of course it's not, because people think that the other two have made cinema worthwhile. If it wasn't for Godfather 1 and 2, why would any films have ever been made? The when I need you all to hear this, I do not think Godfather 1 or Godfather Part 2 are bad films. Okay? Not saying that. I know a lot of people are going to lose their mind. But it's the definition of overrated when you have so many people who will just say, no, you cannot criticize them. They're the works of art that are beyond reproach. This is, Mona Lisa in movie form. At that point, I kind of say, you've lost objectivity.
Yeah,
There are many, many, many things about the first Godfather Part 1 that are subpar. And one of those things that I could easily get punched in the face if I said this in public is there's some ropey acting here and there. No one ever wants to hear that, because no, it's the greatest ever. And Godfather Part 2, yeah, yeah, it's good, it's great, it's brilliant. Is it the greatest film ever made? I don't think so.
no, Pacific Rim is. Um, no, it's like yeah. I've watched Godfather 1 and 2. I haven't watched Godfather 3. I've watched Godfather 1. Do not remember a damn thing in it. I remember. Sorry, but it's also this weird thing. I don't know if I actually remember watching the moment of like the famous kind of like Godfather kind of I'll make you an offer you can't refuse kind of crap and stuff like that. I don't know if I remember that, or because of popular culture do I just remember the scene.
True.
And that's bad. I can't remember sitting down and watching that scene. I can remember seeing 2001 Space Odyssey. I can remember this like several scenes from that from popular culture, and I remember sitting down and watching it for the first time, like fully the way through. Godfather 2, cannot remember those moments.
Gotta be honest with you, Paul. I could probably suffer from the same thing, except last year, after we all came out of lockdown and all that kind of stuff, one of the first people I met, a mutual friend of ours, a guy called Rob, we were talking movies, and he's like, I Godfather, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, And he looked at me like, there's something wrong with you if you don't rate 1 and 2 as kind of 1 and 2 in the best films of all time. So I took it upon myself to go and rewatch the entire trilogy, because I hadn't, you see them at different times in your life and all the rest.
Yeah.
Whole trilogy, one weekend, and I came out feeling vindicated, because Paul, some of those pop culture moments, I was like, yeah. So really, I am remembering some more of those pop culture moments as being more impactful in the movie than they were. Quotable as they might be, some of them aren't as impactful when they happen. So it's, yeah, I'm going to check the chat and see if anybody has revolted and left. But I can see I prefer Goodfellas and Casino. You know what? That's a fair enough shout. Lisa, you just nailed it. If people think you can't be a fan of a film without seeing a particular film, then that film is definitely overrated.
Yeah, can't be a
Perfect.
fan of film. Period. That's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
your opinion doesn't count unless if you don't love The Seventh Seal, Citizen Kane, Lawrence of Arabia, Godfather, then you don't have any place in loving movies. You're right. I couldn't actually say it better than that. So with that, I would love this to be the thing that goes viral and gets us loads and loads of views, because we were brave enough to say The Godfather is really good. I can see the headline now. Brave YouTubers call out Godfather Part 1 and 2 for being really, really excellent movies, but not saying that they're the greatest.
Yeah.
I can see pitchforks, yeah, and flaming torches.
Like
They're coming, Paul.
it's just one of those things. Excuse me. Yeah, there's some great things. Which goes, Costello, yeah, you're coming with a lot of great films. I will say, apart from the Mad Max comment, but you're coming with some great films. Which goes of films that we haven't so far. I've seen your list and I haven't come out going, that's a little bit overrated, kind of thing. So, good work. But yeah, no, I agree. Godfather, you shouldn't have to watch it to like film. Okay, I'm gonna go to the one that I think is controversial. Which goes
good.
Which goes. Let's see if this gets anybody's. But because I know this is a particular film that a certain type of film goer likes. I guess that's a weird way of saying it. So it's Donnie Darko.
That is controversial in the same sort of way as Godfather, the Godfathers is, except you have to have seen Donnie Darko to have become part of the Donnie Darko cult, or so I thought until I realized so many people were going, "Oh yeah, Donnie Darko's great," and then you realize when they started talking about it, they'd never seen it. It became super cool to like Donnie Darko at one point.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the film. It was a good film.
I'm a fan. I saw this on your list and I was like, you know what? I think he might have something on the whole overrated thing, and I love this movie.
But like, it is like the amount of times that I was forced to watch it because it's one of the greatest films ever. It's just like, it's not. I'm sorry. It's a great film. It's an interesting premise, but if you really want to go with something that's cool, go with like, Primer or something like that. That's a little bit cooler and stuff, and a little bit more like the low budget of Donnie Darko. A lot of people are just like, oh, but it lends to the artisticness of it and stuff like that. And it's just like, yeah, it does, and it doesn't, because Primer is filmed by two guys pretty much on a by themselves practically, and it's a way lower budget than Donnie Darko, and I feel that it's a way more confusing film, and I really enjoyed it. And but it's just
I get that.
It just feels like this is on the levels of like people liking 13, that kind of like coming of age film of those two girls. Like, people are just like, oh, it's a brilliant film, and I'm just like, really? Like, it's it's tragic. Like, both films are tragic, and it's good. It's an interesting kind of like look into mental health in certain ways and stuff like that, and time travel. If you haven't seen it by now, I don't care about it.
We don't worry about spoiling Donnie Darko at this stage.
But yeah, this is the thing. A lot of Beef is right. The soundtrack is what got a lot of people stuck in people's heads.
Soundtrack's excellent.
But this is the thing is, name me one other song than that Mad World song. Name me one other song that's in the film, and anyone who looks it up and Googles it, I swear, because I don't remember, and I'm literally dunking on this film, and I'm like, the only film that the only song I remember is Mad World.
But you're dunking on a movie that you actually still think is quite good. You're not saying Donnie Darko's bad. It's about its overrated nature.
Oh yeah, no, that's the whole thing. Yeah. It's a good film to watch. It's an interesting film, especially in the whole kind of group of time weird kind of films that decided to kind of break away from just Back to the Future or The Time Machine or that kind of thing. They decided to do local. Ark is another one of those kind of films that would make it into it,
Well, you know what? My take on Donnie Darko is that I actually think it's a great movie, and I think Gyllenhaal's performance elevates the movie. I think there's a whole lot that's great about it. I won't argue with you though that it's overrated, because I think it definitely is overrated. I got given a gift way back of the kind of special edition DVD with all the extras and the extended cut and all that kind of stuff on it. And I wish I still had it. It disappeared a few years back. But here's the thing. The reason it was given to me is, and it was very sweet. It was somebody, my sister, didn't know what to get me and was like, you like movies. This movie, I hear it's brilliant. You probably already saw it. but it seems like the kind of thing, because it was being played on practically a 24-hour loop in some New York cinemas. There was people for years were going to see Donnie Darko the way they still go and see Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
It got a real cult following, so that helped its notoriety, but it also helped its overrating, let's say. Personally, I rate it very highly. Do I think it's overrated? Yes, Paul, I agree with this for sure. Not only for the reasons that you've just said, but also I think, and that's where I was saying sometimes the social nature of cult movies, people forget that sometimes they're cult movies just because they're cult movies, because a specific group of people like them, not because they're the greatest movie ever made.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. Because there's several cult films that I follow, and I know that when I say that the greatest film, I know that I'm exaggerating. And when someone goes, "It's the greatest film," nah.
Comments are agreeing, for the most part, agreeing. Donnie Darko is really good. Yeah, we absolutely agree that's really good. A lot of cool things being said. I see that Identity and Seven got mentioned as Identity is better than most movies, in my opinion, by the way. Just Identity doesn't get enough love.
I think it's underrated. I think it's another one. I think we might do an underrated version of this.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
I think it's the gimme of the underrated. There's loads of other movies. Like, people are calling out other movies of similar styles that are also really good. And I think that's another one of those overrated things where if something becomes the poster child for it, it can remain overrated when other movies like you're mentioning Primer and other things like that are equally as good, maybe on the same topic in a different way, sometimes in the same way on a different topic. But yeah, like, I can't take anything away from, this is again a list of movies that we think are brilliant, but maybe get people a little too high on the
yeah. No,
the smell of its own fart.
I feel like when you do go, this is a great film, that you shouldn't be do you know what's also a great film? Time Crimes, or which is Identity, or any, like, it should be like, oh yeah, but like other good films like in the same vein are these ones, kind of thing. It shouldn't be just automatically going, yeah, Time Crimes is great, or Back to the Future, or Arc, or something just right beside it. You should be going, yeah, no, that's a great film, not in the back of your head going, eh.
Yeah. Well, Paul, I'm realizing that we're a few minutes away from our ad break, which, by the way, I'm just calling it somebody. Yeah, Beef says, I have the special edition. Do you have my special edition by any chance? Because I still would love to find it. But the ad that you should line up, if we can today, if you have it, is for our good friends at It Takes Two, a podcast where films such as the ones we have been discussing come up. So I don't know if you have that ad
I
on
don't.
your.
I don't
You don't.
have that. No.
It got played like 2 weeks ago. It'll get played next week.
It's my fault for driving the bus today.
Not at all. We're messing with their setups. But for anybody who's not listening, go and check out in the description below and in our link channels and all the rest of that good stuff. It Takes Two podcast. Easy to find with your Google. Paul, we have a few minutes though. Do you want to get? I'll get one in real quick as a bit of a mention.
Cool.
Do you want to just throw Bullet up there? Because Bullet is overrated in everybody's mind that hasn't seen it. Because Bullet is very famous for one thing. It's famous for a car chase. So everybody assumes, I think I have 3 copies of Bullet. And I'm not kidding. I think I might have 3 copies of the Bullet DVD. Because everybody's like, you're really into cars. Best car chase scene ever. You must love this movie. Like, Steve McQueen. I do really enjoy a lot of Steve McQueen movies. Car chase is very, very cool. Big fan of Mustangs and Challengers and all the rest. Have you ever tried to watch this movie though, folks? It's really bloody boring. Like, it's really boring. Either side of that car chase is really quite excruciatingly boring. It's not a great movie. It is an okay movie, but this is one of those ones that, again, all the good movies that are overrated, this is one of those movies that people don't say it's the greatest film ever made, but for another reason, being the car chase, people assume it's a really good movie. Oh yeah, Bullet's great, isn't it? Like, are you talking about the car chase? Yeah. You ever watched the film? No. But I assume it's really good. Like, it's really good though, isn't it? No. Watch it and whatever you do, do it early in the day so that you can't fall back asleep.
Like, I don't remember this film. I remember the soundtrack.
And
Soundtrack's great.
the Ford Puma ad for anybody in the UK or Ireland, they did some early digital face mashing where they had Steve McQueen walking around, and instead of getting into a Mustang, he get into a Ford Puma, which was a very, very cool ad with very, very cool. They used the soundtrack. But guys, ladies, gents, everybody, folks, do watch it if you can't sleep.
That's a bad. It's a bad sign that it's a good sleep aid. Pop culture has also arrived in the chat, which is great. And Lisa is also asking, has Patrick seen the car chase in The Thing with Two Heads?
The Thing with Two Heads? No, but now I will.
Well, you must.
The Thing with Two Heads. Okay, good stuff. Thank you very much.
So while we're going to our ad break, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, like this video if you're currently enjoying our lists of overrated films, and we'll be back in a couple of seconds.
See you on the other side. Hi, I'm a regular person, just like you. I don't have dead, lifeless eyes or anything. If you're like me, you're frustrated with the trash that keeps getting served up to you by the internet. Well, do I have good news for you? I've found Hear Us Out. These two handsome, intelligent, and not at all egotistical folk talk about everything to do with the world of entertainment, covering everything from how movies are made to what TV shows you really shouldn't miss out on. I know, a service like this must cost an awful lot of money. Well, have no fear. It's all available for free on YouTube, with an extensive back catalogue and new episodes every Thursday. To take advantage of this, all you have to do is go to their channel and hit the big red subscribe button. Insider tip, hit the little bell to get notified of any new bonus content. Add some colour to your life. I know I could use it. Hear Us Out. 3D talk in a 2D world.
Hey, welcome back. And hope you enjoyed that ad. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that notification bell. Pretty much everything that the ad also says.
Yeah. One bit of business, Paul. I want to I'm not going to say who this is, but there's somebody out there who might be watching this video in the future. Happy birthday. It's their birthday, and I know getting a mention on YouTube might help. And I just want to tell them that they're one of the best people in the world. So there you go. Sorry, Paul. I figured now is the time to squeeze one of those in. Also, like and subscribe and all other stuff, but wish happy birthday to my friend.
No worries at all. That's a really good thing. If you want to get birthday wishes, send us money.
Yeah, I'll do, actually.
No. So, what other films do you want to kind of go ahead with? Which is, I don't
surprise
have
me, Paul. It will surprise me with, because you know that everybody's been waiting for me to mention. Pulp Fiction. I always mention as overrated. So, I've been on the record for that. There's no need for me to go into any more details. Really, Pulp Fiction annoys everybody that I think it's overrated, but for all of the reasons that we've just described, Pulp Fiction. It's a soundtrack, darling. It's a poster, darling. If you were there at the time, it was hard to avoid somebody who wasn't going to say, "Oh, Pulp Fiction is the most amazing thing ever." I say, yeah, Reservoir Dogs is better. For crying out loud, it's not even the best Tarantino film. But that's it. Pulp Fiction. I know where you stand on it because you've basically been pop culture bombarded by it and haven't seen it because of that, which I respect and don't blame you for.
Yeah, I have and I haven't. I haven't watched the film. Definitely seen it.
There you go. Exactly. So I am. I'm seeing here. Hey, I hate Pulp Fiction. So got your back. You know what, Pop? That means a lot, and that really does. Thank you very much. Pulp Fiction might be the most overrated film. I'm so glad. I was expecting a barrage of hate on this one. But you know what, Paul, I can up the ante and say, would you mind throwing up Trainspotting and see who I lose?
Sure.
I'm going to ride this wave all the way to the beach when it crashes. I think Trainspotting, And this, for anybody of my vintage, will know what I mean by Trainspotting is a good movie. It really is. But holy gosh, was it overtaken by the cultural significance that people tied to it.
Yeah.
Like it became intertwined with being of that generation. And I still to this day hear people go, "Oh, if you weren't there, you can't understand." I'm like, it's a film. If I had to be there to understand, that's a real problem, because I was there for Trainspotting and didn't, but also I wasn't there for 12 Angry Men, and I do. All right, I wasn't around in the 50s watching movies. I know I'm old, not that bloody old. Ugh. That sentiment of, oh well, if you were there, you would have understood. What? That's not how movies work, Paul. Tell me that's not how movies work.
Like, yeah, I watched this film. It
It's
wasn't
good.
amazing. It's a good film. I enjoyed it. It just wasn't as like it. Like, okay, I know it's not on a list, but Fight Club is to me along the same lines as Trainspotting. I think it was more of a cultural kind of like changing thing where it gave a
Don't get me
voice.
wrong. I think Fight Club's an incredible movie.
But
It
yeah,
really is.
I
But
just
it is probably overrated also.
I feel like the twists in Fight Club were amazing. I just feel that a lot of people say that it's the greatest film because, and it's not on my list, but it should be. I think it's people say it's the greatest film is because of the it gave a voice to a subculture or a group of people, which I think Trainspotting did the same thing. It gave a voice to a group of people that didn't have a voice in film, or feel marginalized or anything like that, kind of thing. And I think that that's what happened with Trainspotting and Fight Club. I
And
enjoyed Fight
look,
Club. I enjoyed Trainspotting. I just didn't connect with the cultural thing that happened.
and I would never take it away from the people that it did. Like Go, an American movie that kind of has a Trainspotting vibe to it of the time. Again, big soundtrack, good movie. Um, how should I put this without sounding really silly? I have seen people be disappointed that I don't love Trainspotting as much as them. And I feel terrible at that point because I'm not meant to. And no one's meant to love Jaws as much as I do. I want to talk to them about if they like it or if they don't. And if they do love it also, then we share that love together. And if, me and you, Paul, Jaws is here for me, it's here for you. You don't think it's terrible. I enjoy our conversation. But it's films like Trainspotting and Fight Club and the other ones that we've mentioned, where people's eyes die a little when you kind of go, "Yeah, great movie," but it's maybe got away from itself a little bit there on the whole. It's the best thing ever, and it's you had to be there, and it's a cultural touch point, and yeah, some of that might be true, but wouldn't be in my top 10 movies of all time on any list of personal favorites or significance in cinema.
Yeah,
And I guess, again, pop culture says Trainspotting never broke huge in the States. It was a cultural hit. I've just realized that this may not, you're right, Pop, this mightn't actually work for an international audience as much. If you were in Ireland or the UK, it was unavoidable. It got wrapped up in Britpop. It got wrapped up in all sorts of just musical and cultural stylings of the time.
yeah.
And it's really quite good. It's a really bloody good film.
Which I think,
It's just not that good.
I think it would be the same kind of like state version is Fight Club probably. That's why when you said Trainspotting to me, I was just like, yeah, same feeling as Fight Club. I watched it when it came out. There was
That's
no
probably a good comparison, actually, Paul.
like, so do you want to go to your last
Yep.
one quickly?
Please do.
All right.
Well,
Boom.
I don't know what are we about to pull up for the last one, because
Shawshank Redemption.
it's Shawshank.
Yeah.
Because I and I'm going back to my notes to make sure that I mentioned it, Paul, because I wanted to make sure you were aware that I was about to do this to us. My notes to Paul quite literally say, if you ask 1,000 Irish men over the age of 30 their favorite movie, the answers will be at least 50% Gladiator and Shawshank Redemption. I think both are great. Sometimes people give Shawshank the greatest movie ever made mention when it should get it. It's a brilliant artistic, telling of a tough story. I think Shawshank Redemption's excellent. I really do. I actually think Gladiator is really, really quite good. Like, I think Gladiator is excellent. But my God, I don't know what it is with Irish men of a certain generation that took to them both. And we're like, oh no, there'll never be a better film than Shawshank, or oh, there'll never be a better film than Gladiator. It's like it became their best friend or their favorite football team. Anybody who would say something against them, and there are bad parts of Shawshank Redemption. And when I say bad parts, there are elements in it that make it a less than perfect movie. It's a less than perfect story. It's a brilliant story, really well told, really well acted, really well shot, lovely score, all sorts of great things. But it is not perfect. There's a weird class of people that will throw me through the wall of a bar if I say it too loud that, yeah, Shawshank wouldn't be my number one film. What? It means you haven't seen it. Because if Shawshank isn't your number one film, you're not a normal person. There's something wrong with you. You're dead inside. There's something really wrong with you. Like, hey, chill out,
I
dude.
yeah, I agree. I can't not agree. I do enjoy though when I go, yeah, Shawshank Redemption's a great film. I really enjoyed it. It's a great story. Like, there's problems overall, character changes and all that kind of stuff. Just for kind of celebrity clout and star power stuff. I'm looking at you, Red. Which is the thing that I love is when people go, "Oh, it's a great film," and I go, "Do you know Stephen King wrote that?" And they go, "What?" And it's like, yeah, well, if it's your greatest film, then you should know about it. Right? And they just go, no, he's that maniac horror guy, right? And this is like, yeah, he's written other stuff too. And
in the same anthology was the Going to See a Dead Body, essentially, which is Stand By Me, which is one of my other favorite films. Because I was given that anthology when I was younger, and to think that years later, one of those films would be one of my favorites, and one of the others would be something I was talking about on YouTube, going, it's really good, but please don't kill me because I don't think it's the greatest. And it is. It's that moment, Paul, of somebody's eyes glazing over, going, I think you're broken. You don't get it that this is the best. And if you said to them, well, no, I think Gladiator is the best, they'd be like, oh, okay then, because that's the second best. It's a very weird Irish thing for a very specific generation. And it bugs the shit out of me because have they not seen anything else ever that made them feel manly? I don't know what the hell it is. It seems to be the more manly the dude as well. I gotta do this to you folks. I'm sorry for going there, but the kind of person who would push you out of the way in the bar is usually the one that, like, about your favorite films, Gladiator, like, no, it's not, a Shawshank. Like, oh Christ, okay.
That's 1, 2, 1. Yeah, no, I agree. I do feel though with this film, it's like, I can't remember the name of the film. Dead Alive. Where is it? Dead
Chew
Alive?
bubblegum and kick ass.
Yeah, he puts on the glasses and he suddenly sees all the things are just like a bay and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Every time I hear someone say greatest film in the world, I'm just like, did I just put on the glasses from Dead Alive? And I've just seen something different to everybody else. Like, am I seeing what am I seeing?
I could make a case to say that Shawshank Redemption is one of the best films ever made. One of the best films ever made as a sentence. Not the best, and again, it's about overrated. You can be really, really good, but still be overrated. And it gets pushed into that overrated category every time somebody talks about it.
They Live. That was the name of the film.
They Live, that's it. Yeah. Thank you. I watched that again about 6 months ago. I still really enjoy that movie. Carpenter's an amazing man. Anyway, Paul, I want to call up one unpopular opinion that is literally written in the comments as unpopular opinion. The Goonies is overrated. Well, here's a popular opinion. You're wrong. It's one of those ones that I would say it's appropriately rated, because overrated and underrated is also subjective. I guess it's who you spend your time around or what you spend your time around reading. Because there's loads of films that I think are underrated and people go, no, it's actually considered quite highly in my circle or the things that I read. And I'm like, oh, well, that's good. It's just underappreciated where I hang out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. Sorry, hang on. No, I don't agree. I think
With
Goonies, I think Goonies is slightly overrated. I really enjoy it. I think it's very kind of time oriented, or like when it came out, it was like very good. I think it's in that stream of Steven Spielberg films that it was just like he could do no wrong for a while. That it was just bang after, like, there's some. See, my problem is that there's some great Steven Spielberg films that came out around the same time that were absolutely amazing. And it's kind of like, The Goonies is good. Not going to fault it. I will not die on the hill of kind of going, I will die on the hill that it is the greatest film in the world. But I will not die on the hill of going, it is very good, and like it's just one of those childhood ones that stick in your memory forever. Like what's that? Never mind. The Big Little Giants and stuff like that.
Do you know what's going to kill me most, Paul? Because I've got to do it now after the stream. I'm going to go back and read all the comments that we missed, because I can already see, like The Wraith from 1986 is The Crow, the first Crow movie mixed with Fast and Furious. Knowing I love The Crow and having seen The Wraith and knowing what he's talking about, which is a weird, bad car movie, that's a brilliant description. But also it puts me in mind of one of our videos that you should go out and check, that Star Trek and Fast and the Furious are actually the same franchise.
Yep.
Because it's that sort of thinking that gets us there. It's that sort of thinking that gets us there. Paul, I got to say thank you to everybody in chat, because it's awesome. I agree with an awful lot of the overrated picks. So maybe we all agree that these things are overrated, so they're not. Or is it just that we spend our time around people that were sent here to annoy us?
I think the thing is that our audience are film lovers and film goers that have spread their horizons of film so much that they've seen some great little things that have not in any way impacted, I guess, the wider social, like, film goers kind of head, that like you kind of going, yeah, it's a good film, but have you seen this? And it's just like, I guess that's the problem. We just have greater horizons, us and our audience.
Well, I would say that we're in our own little echo chamber, except I'm seeing comments now that I am going to go back and be like, hey, what were you talking about there? So at least it's not 100% agreement all around. We've got loads of underrated suggestions, so I think we should do a companion video of most underrated movies of all time. It's a little bit different though, because that's just us going, these are hidden gems in some ways. Or I think maybe we should limit ourselves to films that most people have heard of, but yet don't rate them as highly as they should. Because there are a lot of very popular or well-known films that people don't rate as highly as they should. Yeah,
no, I definitely agree. I do think that we'll have to figure out how to play it in a sense that actually kind of is entertaining and good for us, But anyway, we should thank you for watching. Like, guys, we can't thank you enough for the amount of interaction that you guys have done. It's been great. So thank you very much. Hope you've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Comment down below even more of your favorites, which is overrated films, and underrated films as well. Let's get that kind of thing going. And don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and we should share us out to everybody you can. Patrick, any kind of closing things?
No, I just want to say thank you to everybody in the comments right now, but also thank you to all of you in the future comments. Let us know down below, if you're watching this at another time, what were we right about, what were we wrong about, and stick in your pick for overrated. Because I want to come back a year from now and still see people fighting over either Donnie Darko or The Godfather. That would be my dream. So thanks, everybody. And we will see you next time. Paul, I have been Patrick.
And I've been Paul.
And we've been here aside.
See you later. Guess that I want to see more of you commenting back. See you later.
Bye.